Hello everybody, welcome to another theory video. Yes, you read the title correctly. Yes, you are looking at the correct image on the screen. And yes, you saw that thumbnail correctly too. Angry Birds and Five Nights at Freddy's are the same franchise. And this has some interesting implications, I think, so we're going to get into that. That's right, in this video, I'm going to suggest that the Funny Bird game and the Funny Bear game are the same game. Well, not really, they're the same franchise at least. Because I noticed something when I like these two franchises a lot, and I noticed something interesting about them. Both of these started out as simple as the last possible game the developer could make. Developers initially only had failure after failure after failure, kinda, until they had enough for just one more game. That last game ended up being super successful and one of the biggest franchises of all time. It is kind of a coincidence that they have pretty much the same origin, but everything else that comes afterwards I don't think is much of a coincidence. And this video is going to prove it. So, without further ado, what's going on is the games have more similar origins than you might think. This is going to be one of my longest theories yet, so buckle up, grab a snack, stick around, do whatever, and let's have some fun. So for starters, both these games have the similar final reward of earning 3 stars. For Angry Birds, you have to 3-star every single level. For Five Nights at Freddy's, you have to earn all 3 stars on the main menu, which is to beat the main 5 nights, the 6th night, and the 2020-2020 custom night mode. As well as, the series had 5 main characters initially. Now, there were more, but these were the stars of the show, essentially. And for Angry Birds, you had Brad's, Blues, Chuck, Bomb, and Matilda. And for FNAF, you had Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy. Now, these two franchises have a lot of similar games released between one another. And there's going to be a lot of these. For starters, there's the Space spin-off, Angry Birds. Obviously, at Angry Birds Space. And for FNAF, I went with Freddy in Space 2 for reasons I'll see a little bit later. There's the RPG spin-off for Angry Birds. Obviously, there's Angry Birds Epic. And for Five Nights at Freddy's, there's FNAF World, which, believe me, we will get into this a lot later. So, I'm not going to say much of anything for now. Now, both these franchises ended up getting so big and minimizing so much that eventually 4 games will be able to release in the span of just 1 year. Angry Birds, Angry Birds Friends, Space, Bad Piggies, and Star Wars all released within 2012, and FNAF saw obviously the first 4 games released within a year of each other, which is honestly pretty incredible. Then we have the Halloween spin-off. Obviously, for Angry Birds, we had Angry Birds Seasons, which initially was just called Angry Birds Halloween. And for Five Nights at Freddy's, there was FNAF Halloween Edition for FNAF 4, and the Update 2 for FNAF 4, which, like I said, we'll get into that. Trust me. Then we have something I'm not entirely sure what to call, so I just called it the Pink spin-off. Pink in quotes, because it's what it kind of feels like to me. Like, it's not necessarily a for girls spin-off, because Stillcation isn't necessarily for girls. I guess girl character spin-off? I don't know, but for Angry Birds there was Angry Birds Stella, and FNAF there was FNAF Stillcation. They feel kind of similar to me, you know? Like, I'm sure you guys would get that too after this video. Next up we have the VR and AR game. Obviously, Angry Birds had the VR and AR editions of Isle of Pigs, which is honestly one of the better games with the movie designs. And for Five Nights at Freddy's, there was obviously Help Wanted, and FNAF AR, which, rest in peace. We'll kind of get into that a little later. this one. Now, this is the one that really made me want to make this video. The fact that a highly anticipated game got released and ended up being a buggy mess and negatively received by fans. Angry Birds had Rovio Classics Angry Birds, which I'm sure many fans don't actually want to talk about that, and FNAF had Security Breach. Now, the really reason why this one made me want to make this video is because of their really close release date, with FNAF Security Breach releasing in December 2021 and Rovio Classics releasing March 2022. Now, without this release, the probably would have been like, haha, the funny games are similar to one another, but this is what made me interested in this, and there's a lot more too. We haven't even scratched the surface of this. Maybe we have a little bit. There's still a lot more to go here. Take, for example, the space update as a part of a larger game. For Angry Birds, we had Angry Birds Space Reloaded, and for Five Nights at Freddy's, it was Freddy in Space in FNAF World. Then we have a concept art collection with Angry Birds Trilogy, featuring Angry Birds Classic Seasons in Rio, releasing in 2012. And for FNAF, there was the core collection, featuring 1 through 4 in Sister Location. Then we have the Roblox game, which again, I'm sure many people don't like to talk about, but we'll see when it comes to Survival Crew, I guess. Angry Birds has Bird Island, which that's what I'm going to say on that. And FNAF has Survival Crew, but that was kind of a beta test thing that was accidentally released, but it most likely is coming eventually. But this is another one I was like, oh my gosh, yes, they both have a Roblox game! Oh my goodness! So, you know, that was interesting. Then, this one's a bit of a sad one. But, you know that. Where games get released, or games get delisted, or deleted, for their 10th anniversary. Angry Birds, Classic, Seasons, Rio, Space, Star Wars 2, Go, Epic, Stella, and Fight, all removed in 2019. And recently this year, FNAF AR was removed from app stores and shut down. But again, I was like, oh, I saw this one coming. I knew this was going to happen, because I was making this video. Yeah, this video took a long time to make. It's a big one, trust me. Probably, kind of. But it's not one I was really sad, but really interested in. But so then, let's just have a quick moment of silence for our fallen heroes. Thank you. And then we have the game made to promote the movie. Not sure what's up with that one. Got my voice there. Angry Birds had Angry Birds Action initially, at least, and then they milked movie franchises. Also, we didn't complain about the movie design so much being used in the games. We probably wouldn't be in our current situation right now, but let's not worry about that right now. Because FNAF movie had Freddy in Space 3, Secret in Space, to promote it. Which, that's quite interesting, eh? To say the least. Now, there's also a lot of similar characters between these two franchises. There's not a lot of characters as there are games, but there's still quite a bit of them. Trust me. So, let's look at some of them. For starters, the villains are purple and green, with King Pig and Gale for Angry Birds, and of course William Afton, Springtrap, and everyone for FNAF. The one thing I'd like to notice is that the purple character has yellowish, orangish accessories. Clearly, someone was taking notes from someone else. And I think it was Scott taking notes from Rovio. FNAF 2 came out after Angry Birds Stella definitely, so, yeah. Anyway, next we have the character who was mentioned once and then completely forgotten about by the developer. Angry Birds has Tony, as well as many other characters, but I chose Tony since earlier brought interest in bringing him back, potentially. So that's something. And for FNAF, we have Mendo from FNAF World, which... yeah, he's probably not going to come back ever again. If he does, it'll be a big celebration, I guess. Next up, we have a good guy character who turns purple. Interesting. So for Angry Birds, we obviously have Chuck, who turned purple in Angry Birds Space. And for Finder's Phrase, we have Michael Afton, who turned purple at the end of Sith Vocation after Ennard invaded his body, to say the least. Speaking of which, there are 3 siblings across the franchise too. For Angry Birds, there's Jay, Jake, and Jim, the Blues. And we have the Afton kids from FNAF. Michael, Crying Child, and Elizabeth. And speaking of Crying Child, no one really knows what his name is. Same goes for Icebird and Angry Birds. I just thought that one close out, but yeah, these two are characters from their respective franchises whose real name nobody knows, and everyone just calls them some name based on their appearance. Also important to the lore. And here we have characters who are named by the fans. Well, Ruby's more unofficial, but Romeo slipped a couple times and called her Ruby. I think it's basically her official name at this point. And then we have Golden Freddy and the Freddles. Golden Freddy most notably named by Markiplier. I don't remember who named the Freddles though, but those are the official names, and they were named by fans. Oh, Phone Guy. I forgot about Phone Guy. He was also named by the fans. There's a lot of FNAF characters named by the fans. Is Scott just bad with names? I think Scott's just bad with names. You know, maybe not every Jeremy has to connect. Anyway. Next up, we have characters with debated gender. And honestly, there's the classic version of Matilda, who only has the gender debate because of the female version of me from Hugs and Kisses and Angry Birds Seasons, which sang... People think, oh, Matilda changed her gender at one point because she has pink accessories and tunes design. No, we just did that because to let people know that she is in fact a girl. Like, come on, guys. And then we have Mango in FNAF, who is less debated these days, thanks to more LGBT acceptance and stuff, but back in the day, it was a huge debate on Mango's gender. Coincidentally enough, they both start with M.A. Someone who's definitely taking note. Next up, we have a character whose design is constantly changing with no consistency whatsoever. Angry Birds obviously has how he's super infamous for that sort of thing and stuff. And obviously Five Nights at Freddy's has William Afton with his consistently changed design, changing so much that the sprite in the top right corner was confused for a different character. You know what? No, all these Hows are different Hows made by the experiments. And How just is always dying. It's like Kenny from South Park. He just constantly dies, and every time he dies, a new How replaces. No, that's a dumb theory. That's such a dumb theory. We're not going with that. It's something funny. Anyway. After that, we have some Lauren Thomas similarities. Now, this one is notably a lot shorter than everything else, but there are quite a few things here. For example, both of these have quite the long and complex timeline. In fact, so complex, I'm pretty sure I got the Five Nights at Freddy's timeline over here completely wrong. I definitely did get some things right, though, generally, but you'll see in August, okay? You'll all see in August what I mean by this timeline here. Anyway. And obviously for Angry Birds, we have my timeline, which you should probably watch, maybe. Just saying. Now, next up we have the main character isn't really important to the main story, to the lore of the franchise. Don't get me wrong, they're definitely important to the stories they're a part of. But when it comes to the overall lore, they're just kind of one character as part of a group there. And this is especially here in my timeline, as well as the FNAF timelines. And now, Red might actually have some importance, but I'm waiting for something for that, alright? I'm not going to say what just yet to keep you guys guessing. But I am waiting on something to show how Red might actually be of some importance to the Angry Birds lore. So this video might instantly be outdated. I don't know. So, whoops. Then we have the fact that both of these franchises take place in the 80s. Obviously, there's my theory on it, which, again, you should probably watch. Wasn't that long ago. It was actually like my... I think that one was actually my previous theory. Wow. Not bad, so... And then FNAF, Paycheck literally says takes place in the 80s. As well as the TV and FNAF 4, so... Yeah. And then we have some miscellaneous similarities. These ones don't really fit into any particular category, but are definitely some interesting connections nonetheless. For starters, people complain about the movie designs a lot. Well, people used to complain about the FNAF designs, but I remember seeing on Twitter just people just complaining the heck out of the Red Eyes and that. I was like, it's just like Angry Birds. This is another connection. We found another connection. So this one I'm pretty sure was unintentional by the two of these guys, but yeah, and of course we have the Angry Birds redesigns, which we don't talk about, lest we summon the anger of the Angry Birds fan base. I tell you that if we were any angrier, pink slime would be all over Twitter. Just saying. Except both of these franchises have a movie trilogy. Obviously, for Angry Birds, we have the first movie and the second movie, which doesn't exist, which is because it's that bad, and the upcoming third one, and then FNAF. Scott Cawthon confirmed in the Doco interview that he imagined FNAF as a movie trilogy, so, I maybe had to put this as one of the points once the Angry Birds Movie 3 was announced. And I could go on within this video about how Angry Birds movie and the FNAF movie are the same movie, but this would make this video way too long. If you guys want to see that, though, let me know in the comments if you're even watching this far. Probably, I don't know. Maybe I'll just make it a Twitter thread like some of those guys doing. Oh, the parallels between these two movies. I could definitely very easily do that. Next up, we have a birthday on the 11th. For Angry Birds, it's the franchise's anniversary as a whole, and for Five Nights at Freddy's, there's Cassie in the Security Breach Ruin DLC, which I remember Rocky saying, I was like, oh my goodness, another Angry Birds connection, you can't make this stuff up, stuff like that. Crazy. And then we have a rare golden thing. For Angry Birds, we have the golden eggs, and FNAF is Golden Freddy, which, can I say real quick, I don't think Golden Freddy, when FNAF 1 on its own was initially released, was meant to be anything. I think Golden Freddy was just meant to be some rare, spoopy little occurrence that could happen. Okay. Though it's possible he might have been a little something. Maybe like a prototype Freddy or something. I don't know. Let's not get into that right now. Let's focus more on Angry Birds. And FNAF. Speaking of which, both of these franchises have a multiverse to them. Right, the FNAF wiki for the image on the right, by the way. I don't want to get sued or anything. I'm an Angry Bird. But yeah. Obviously, Angry Birds have Angryverse, and then Five Nights at Freddy's doesn't really have a name for it, but there's so many universes in FNAF, it's just its own separate thing. So I propose we call this the Fazverse. I like that. The Angryverse and the Fazverse. Good stuff right there, good stuff. And both these franchises also have an iconic fan song that essentially acts as the theme for their series. Obviously, Angry Birds has the Angry Birds Rap by B-Shap, And Five Nights at Freddy's is a FNAF song by Bloom Tombstone. And real quick, can I just say, if the FNAF song can get into the credits of the FNAF movie, I think the Angry Birds rap should be in the credits of the Angry Birds movie 3. Who's with me? Who's with me, huh? People can petition for the Builder Machine song to be at the end of the Bendy movie. I think the Angry Birds rap should be at the end of the Angry Birds movie 3. Just complete the trilogy as a whole, I think we should do that. We should definitely do that. I hope you guys are watching this part right now. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I promise we'll get into the good theory stuff later. I promise we're almost there. See, look at this. Plushies. Look, plush toys. Ooh, plushies in your face. I don't know. Because see, both of these have super iconic plush toys. Obviously, you have the Commonwealth ones from Angry Birds and the Funko ones for FNAF. And both these plush toys also have iconic bootlegs. So you get the Purple Bird. He's super iconic from Angry Birds. And we have the iconic fake plushies and action figures, Lego figures and stuff. Look at that Bonnie on there. He looks like SpongeBob when he got sick. The eye rolling down and everything. It's hilarious, these bootlegs. Another interesting thing is the Feast of Flesh font being used in both franchises. I don't know who owns the image on the right, by the way. It's not mine, though. So please don't sue me if it's yours. I don't know. It's the only one I could find, okay? For Angry Birds, obviously, it was originally the font used for the logo of the game. And so it made its own logo, own font for the logo. And then FNAF, the Feast of Flesh font, was commonly used in a lot of FNAF theories back in the day. Who knows, maybe I'll use it for this theory. No, I sadly cannot. I don't know how to add the font to Google Slides. Anyway. Next up we have a funny number. I hope Markiplier was okay with me using his meme image there. Okay, Angry Birds, obviously there's 2012, referencing the year the franchise peaked, which, yes, it did. It peaked 2012, and never again. I'd actually like it 2014, but, And then from FNAF, you couldn't tell by the image on the right, it's 87. Thanks, Markiplier. Imagine he got it right, though. Would it still be the huge meme? I don't know. Anyway, next up is just the weirdest, excuse my swearing, the weirdest shit you've ever read in your life. For Angry Birds, we have the 2011 Moon comic, which just that panel alone is weird. It gets even weirder, probably. I'm really trying to look for a theory on that. Trying to explain how it fits into the Angry Birds lore and stuff. I can't. I really cannot. But that doesn't, none of the other items on the screen even compare to, and this is just the title alone, Angry Birds Stella, Nana, and the magic English words. I shit you not, this is a real manga in Japan. It's real, I don't get it. That doesn't even... That completely takes the cake completely away from Fazbear Frights and Tales from Pizza Plexton. No, I tell you, that shit gets weird too. Okay, but enough of that. Next up, we have a Transformers parody thing. Obviously, for Angry Birds, there's Angry Birds Transformers. And for FNAF, there's the Faz Force in the Help Wanted 2 thing. I'm actually kind of mad I didn't get that one right away. I might have joked about like, Angry Birds Transformers FNAF, but not realizing it instantly. And finally, we have an evil corporation. That's right! All of this was just leading towards a roast. Towards Rovio. Okay, I'm just kidding, but for real though. Both of these franchises have an evil corporation with them. For Angry Birds, there's Rovio. And for FNAF, there's obviously Fazbear Entertainment. And with that, we can breathe a sigh of relief. That's it. That's all the connections I could find. There's probably way more out there. And I mean way more. And I missed a huge majority of them. Fortunately, that's all I could find. But I can assure you, there is way more to this than you might think. Because now, it's theory time. The thing I think that connects Angry Birds and Five Nights at Freddy's. Everyone get ready, because this is the part where things get wild. Since they weren't getting wild already. Oh, this is the part where they get really wild. So, keep those buckles in. Let's do this. So, we know both these franchises have a multiverse, correct? We've been through that before. You probably forgot about that, actually, but they do, in fact, both have a multiverse. Now, the one thing that connects the entire Angry Birds universe together through all the different multiverses is Iceberg and how he protects all those different universes, right? Well, what if there's a similar character like that in Five Nights at Freddy's? And indeed, there is. His name is Old Man Consequences. How do I know this? Well, he appears in both FNAF World and Ultimate Custom Night. Now, what makes this interesting is the fact that these are actually two separate universes. And you're probably thinking, wait, how? Well, it wasn't obvious. Oh. Well, first of all, Old Man Consequences clearly has the same lake between both games, suggesting that it's like a world between worlds sort of thing, which we'll get into one of those later. It wasn't obvious enough by the fact that Fredbear is always talking about code and glitches and stuff, and going layers into code. The fact that you literally fight Scott Cawthon at the end. And also, Update 2 in general, I think it's pretty clear to me that FNAF World is literally all just a game. Which also seems to suggest it's a separate universe on its own. Meaning Old Man Consequences can in fact travel between these two universes. And who's to say he can travel between even more through his little lake thing? Somehow. But, hold on a second. FNAF World got me kind of thinking. It got me to look at the Halloween backstage in Update 2. Take a good look at it. A really good look at it. Do you notice anything familiar? Because if you've been on this channel since October of last year, it should look kind of familiar to you. You have spooky trees, front, a large number of pumpkins everywhere, with jack-o'-lanterns that emit light, and the dark ground is a very dark color. Because it looks a lot like the Trick or Treat world in Angry Birds Seasons. And why this is important is because of my theory that I made that October, which, again, you should watch it, to understand these sort of things. But that means that the Trick or Treat is not like its own separate dimension within the Angry Birds world. See, that's what I was talking about with go watch the video. But it means that the Halloween backstage is actually like one of those, like a between worlds thing, where characters from various video games can travel to and from with. I mean, we literally have a portal leading to and from FNAF World that happens to look exactly the same as the ones that lead to other games. It doesn't get much more clear than that one. So, who's to say Angry Birds isn't another one of these games? But, wait, if this is just a between games world, what's to stop all kinds of other villain characters like Mario or Pac-Man or Lego Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan? Well, it's the fact that I think it's because only games from these games' developer can travel between these worlds. Ticket A, Deskman. So Deskman made Angry Birds, then, is what I'm saying. He works for Rovio, something like that. Oh, I don't think he just made the Angry Birds games, or just made from Rovio. Just made Rovio, or something like that. I think Deskman, and I know a lot of people are going to want to crucify me for mentioning him, I think Discman is Twitter Red. Okay, real talk here. So, I've had this kind of theory for a while now that Twitter Red actually made the Angry Birds franchise, right? There's good amount of evidence to prove it initially, but I was going to make it, but before I even started writing down notes for the theory, he literally confirmed it. Honestly, that's a pretty huge W for me, calling something before I was even able to call it in the first place. Essentially. Because at the start of Angry Birds Kingdom, which it was a beta game, you can't play it anymore unfortunately, but there are plenty of videos on YouTube about it. The game literally opens up with Red saying, "Hey, I made this game. Welcome to the beta I made. Chuck's working on the bugs. Don't worry about it." He literally says he made the game. He literally confirms that he made the Angry Birds franchise, essentially. Like, it doesn't get more cut and dry than that. Okay, so that's a pretty bold move right there, but to say he's Deskman is a pretty big leap. Well, I mean, for starters, they both said Desk, but also, Deskman dies at the end of FNAF World Update 2, so it'd kind of be hard for them to be the same person, but I don't think so. What if this is more metaphorical? As in, Deskman was once a persona for Red, before he just dissed the whole thing entirely, represented by Deskman, let's just say, slingshotting himself towards the hardest surface possible. Yeah, YouTube's not really going to let me say what he actually did. But yeah. Also, they clearly both sit at desks all the time, so that's also a huge connection point. Okay, that was more joke evidence, but still. It's something to note. So here's what I think happened. Red, seeing the success of Five Nights at Freddy's, wanted to start getting into game development himself. He started by making a little fan game known as FNAF World. Okay, obviously Scott did make FNAF World. This is just in-universe I'm talking about right now, okay? Okay. We're good. So, in-universe, Red, a newly aged, wanting to get into game development, made FNAF World. But the game was hugely negatively received, causing him to only really make smaller games. Until, finally, he was able to make games that were good enough to where he could start making things like FNAF World Update 2, a bigger, more upgraded version of the original game. And everyone seemed to really love it. And this would give Red enough success to either join or found Rovio and create the Angry Birds franchise and the multiverse that we know and love and also very much hate to this day. Oh, and I guess Scott found, like, the Old Man Consequence character enough to put him in Ultimate Custom Night. Again. In-universe. I think this might be one of those Might be because of the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative thing, though. I'm not entirely sure. You know the timeline doesn't line up because Angry Birds released in 2009, but that's for this universe, and it's weird and stuff. And if I'm being honest, I don't know. I don't know the connection between Angry Birds and Five Nights at Freddy's. Believe me, I looked heavily through both of these franchises, and I could find nothing. Well, I obviously found that, but that was all through, like, speculation and guesstimation and stuff like that. I don't know what really connects these two franchises. I'm hoping this video can help us look through both of them a bit more. Try and find something that connects them. But, you know, maybe they just don't connect, and I'm looking too deep into this. After all, FNAF has a lot of references to Star Wars, and Angry Birds has 2 Star Wars games. Okay, wow, maybe I am onto something. But who knows? Maybe there's a Fazbear Frights or Tales from the Pizza Box story I missed that has a lot of connections between FNAF and Angry Birds. Or maybe there's just some Angry Birds detail and super deep in the franchise that I somehow overlooked. Or vice versa with FNAF being Angry Birds. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll find the connection, but until then, that's it. That's where this video ends. Thank you everybody for watching. Tell me your theories and thoughts in the comments below. And also be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!